Hello, Paul. It's a pleasure to meet you at Connected North 2025. And could you please give a short introduction of yourself to our audience?
Sure, great to be with you. Thanks for having me. I'm Paul Wilson, the chair of the advisory board for SmartCitiesWorld, which is an online publication read by 1.5 million people around the world, looking at innovation in cities. That's what we do.
Yes, I've been following your work in the smart city field, and your contribution through Smart City World and the Urban Exchange podcast are truly impressive, especially your insights on city resilience and sustainability. Since these days, everyone is talking about ESG, the environmental, social, and governance. So it's great to have this opportunity to interview you and gain some valuable insights from your expert experience in this area. Here, I provide 4 questions for you. And the first one is, as the chair of the advisory board of Smart City World and the host of the Urban Exchange podcast, you have had the opportunity to discuss city resilience extensively. How do you see city resilience evolving in the next decade, and what role will technology and innovation play in shaping this future?
I think the first thing to say about this is just to talk about what's going on with cities. Yes. And why city resilience is such an important topic at the moment. And the answer there is, when I was born, about 3.5 billion people lived on the planet. Mm-hmm. Today, it's more than double that amount at just over 8 billion. And the number of people living on the planet is expected to go up to about 10 billion by the middle of the century. In around about 2012, half of humanity started to live in a city. And this amount is going to increase to about 3/4 of humanity by the time that we're at 10 billion people on the planet. Mm-hmm. So rapid urbanisation is happening. And every week, about 1 million more people live in a city somewhere than they did the week before. They're either born into a city or they move into a city. Mm-hmm. And so rapid urbanisation is a massive phenomenon. Mm-hmm. At the same time, about 80% of the world's economy happens in cities. And about 80% of the world's greenhouse gases are made in cities.
Yes.
And cities cover about 3% of the Earth's surface. So 72% of the world is covered in water. The rest is obviously land. And cities are only about 3% of the Earth's surface. But this 3% is absolutely amazing for what it does in terms of all of the people living there, all of the economy happening there, and all of the greenhouse gases happening there. And so if you care about climate change, how you manage cities and what happens in cities is the biggest single policy lever that anyone has anywhere in the world to affect climate and affect the future of humanity. Mm-hmm. This understanding about the importance of cities is something that's been growing all over the world in the last 10 or so years, whilst this became more and more obvious to more and more people. So sometimes people say the 19th century was a century of empire. Sometimes they say the 20th century was a century of nations. And this century we're in is a century of cities. Mm-hmm. And city management becomes ever so important in terms of how we address the biggest issues for all of us, humans and nature. That's why city resilience is such a big topic.
Yes, you give me a really specific number to make a picture to me to explain this question. I think it's really good. Okay, so on your podcast, you've discussed topics like AI-powered water resilience and urban heat resilience. Could you elaborate on some of innovative solutions you've seen or worked on that address this critical issue in urban planning?
Sure. About 10 years ago, the phrase smart cities became incredibly exciting to lots of people. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons why was because we'd all been using laptops and computers, but suddenly our smartphones began to become more innovative, more amazing to us than our laptops had ever been. And people generally got very excited about the technology that they were being able to use, things like Google Maps or new types of apps for all sorts of things. And with that kind of excitement that there was around what technology could do with a miniaturized computer in our hands, there was a lot of excitement then that, wow, we could digitize all of the aspects of a city. We could digitize transport systems, energy systems, building, heating systems, waste management, all of these things. Everyone got super excited. Then about 4 or 5 years later, some of the people in cities started to say, hold on, we don't want technology running our city and big tech companies running our city. We want cities for people. We want cities for communities. We want cities for nature. And there was a bit of what they call a tech lash against the big tech companies who were pushing smart cities. The next big thing to happen was COVID, where we all were now jumping forwards because suddenly everybody was working online. We began to use from home. And again, what relationship with cities changed, and 15-minute neighborhoods became a big topic. After that, the impacts of climate change became more real. And in recent times, we see fires in Los Angeles, or we see flood in Valencia in Spain or in Japan. We see heating in Athens and India, and we see impacts on cities being large. Now, is the answer more technology? The truth is, today, there's more nuance to that answer, that AI uses so much water, so much power, that just saying, oh, AI is going to be the answer to city resilience is actually a little bit short-sighted and foolish, because AI is very greedy for water and power. So we can't actually power our cities with AI unless we were to have a power revolution, which some people are talking about, maybe with what you call modular nuclear reactors. Some people are excited for this, some people think this is frightening. And there is definitely an understanding of the role of nature in cities that has risen more and more and more. That we need nature, we need trees, we need green spaces for water management and mental health, and we need to care about the natural environment around us as well. So I think probably at this point, there is a much more clever and nuanced approach to this question of resilience and technology. Some technology is good, nature is good, the need to do equity so that this benefits all of the people in the city, not just the wealthy or the tech clever, to be inclusive for elderly people as the population gets a bit older as well. And this kind of more clever thinking about the situation is much more normal now than perhaps it was 10 years ago.
Yes, I have the same feeling with you. When the technology showed up at first, everyone just think it's really good for life. But question, when the problem showed up, it just made ourselves to rethink what's the life look like.
Right.
It's changed by some technology.
Technology companies have big budgets and they push it and say, yeah, let's go. But what people really want in cities is what you might call well-being.
Yes.
And well-being comes in all sorts of different ways. Yes, we need money. Yes, we need housing. But we also need social things like friends. We need a sense of purpose, like there's a role to my life which has meaning. I have health as well as technology. And that well-being is a much more rounded approach to thinking about what we want from cities than just saying I want technology optimization, which is a good thing, but it's only one of many things that are important.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so next question is, the intersection of climate, health, and equity is a pressing issue for urban solutions. So from your experience, how can cities balance technological advancement with social equity to ensure all resident benefits from smart city initiatives?
Well, let's talk about a couple of examples. There are some fantastic things being done to help older people live more independently for longer in their homes. So our population is generally aging. People do want to be independent for as long as possible. There are tons of things that are coming, either apps which connect people to their families and neighbours, and so they have a feeling of safety, that they can contact people easily, or are either just living nearby, or perhaps their family is far away, and they can communicate with that happens. But there are many other things, like things to assist people getting in and out of bed, to check that appliances in the home are turned off at certain times, kind of smart home applications, so that older people who might be becoming forgetful can have ways of managing a safe home with automation around them, or ways of contacting a nurse and health worker around medication or around just visiting and all of this. There's tons of innovation going on. So this is generally, I think, a good thing, because it means that people can live in their own home with confidence that they are cared for, even if some of the care is coming remotely. I think it's a clever thing. We take a completely different example and we talk about water supply. In Poland, there's a wonderful thing where, the seafood that you eat, mussels.
Yes, I know that.
They live in the water. They are very sensitive to dirty water. So in Poland, you can come across a project where water reservoirs use mussels that close when the water is polluted, and they have little sensors on the shell of the mussel. So that causes a degree of water purification to go on. So it's actually nature that is managing the water quality of the water supply in parts of Poland. I think this sort of partnership with nature is a really, and then technology, a really clever way forwards for us all as we get into a future which combines a role for nature, a role for technology, that it works really properly for us. I'm a real fan of that.
It's an easy way for the audience to understand the issue.
Yeah, this gets called nature-based solutions. And there are more and more nature-based solutions for climate resilience. But also nature plays a very important role in our mental health and the health of cities. And we need to look after nature.
So given your role in advising digital transformation project and startups, what advice would you give to emerging companies looking to make an impact in the smart city space, particularly those focusing on sustainability and resilience?
Well, the most important thing is to not be product-centric, but to be customer-centric.
Definitely.
A lot of clever people, clever engineers, get very excited by the products they're making. However, it's very important to work with a customer as a partner in product creation. There are many, many products in search of a problem and in search of a customer. So the clever thing to do is to partner with a city or an area, maybe a campus of a university or a hospital or an airport or a train station or something like this. Partner with that organization and find out what's real, what's really needed, and what can be paid for in a sustainable way, in an ongoing, recurring revenue way. Don't get too excited about creating fabulous engineering. Care more about adoption and use. That's the advice.
So the first is the connection. Second is to find out what's the real question this is and to solve it, right?
Put the customer at the heart, not the product.
Yes, it's really a practical advice, actually. Yeah, okay, so at the end of this interview, Paul, do you have any other advice or some insights to share with us?
Well, I think our world is changing, and I think younger generations are really interested in that change. I'm very enthusiastic about innovation, smaller companies. I'm enthusiastic to see purpose-driven organizations. I'm a little bit less excited by the last century's big companies trying to retrofit big schemes onto cities and communities. And I think I'm a big fan of helping smaller companies do that. And cities have a role in that, in the way they procure things. So they can do what's called innovative procurement, where they're not just putting out big tenders, but working on a journey with smaller companies in their community, growing things over time that can scale over time. And this is the best way of working with a city, using innovative procurement methods.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Paul, so much. So for your sharing your valuable insight and experience today. Your work has been incredibly inspiring, especially in how we can create more resilient and sustainable cities. So I look forward to seeing more success from your project in the future, and will continue to follow your progress and other related work. So thank you again for your time, Paul.
Thank you, Faye, and nice to meet you. Talk to you again.